Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our webinar today. Before I get started, I do want to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded. We will be distributing recording to you if you attend, or if you know people who have registered. We will be sending a recording to them as well. Also, just a reminder, if you need closed captioning, Microsoft Teams has closed captioning available, so please feel free to turn that on. At your convenience. So my name is Tim Hoagie. I'm joined today by my colleague Steve Roses, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about researching military, world wars, and global conflicts within the HeinOnline research database. And we'll be talking a little bit more about the database, depending on if you're familiar with it or not. So if you have used HeinOnline in the past, or if it's brand new to you, doesn't matter. We're going to be going over the whole thing in a fairly quick way. So here, the webinar overview. I'm sorry. We're going to just take about 30 minutes of your time. We're going to go over what HeinOnline is. Then we're going to dive into two specific databases within HeinOnline, and those are our military and government database and our history of international law. And then we're going to save some time for questions at the end if you have any questions. So as I mentioned, myself and Steve are joining you today. If you have any questions, if you're interested in a trial of HeinOnline, you just want to know how we work, please feel free to reach out to us. You can always send us an email at any time. We're happy to answer questions, or just get you involved with HeinOnline any way that we can. So our military and government database is relatively new. All of the content in it has been subject coded for easy navigation and searching. We'll show you how our subject coding and searching works as we dive into the database in just a moment. There's thousands of government reports regarding weaponry, naval ships, troop levels, court martials, and so on. And then there's a whole host of related books, periodicals, and more associated in that database. And then our history of international law database is a really interesting one. It's got over 2,700 titles within it. And it's broken down into different subjects. We'll talk about those in just a moment, but they cover war and peace, law of the sea, international arbitration, and then we also have works from The Hague and the Hague Conventions. So, and that's all in the context of HeinOnline. So HeinOnline is a international academic research database for both academic and not. But we've been around for over 20 years, and it has a huge collection of over 3,000 journals within it, a comprehensive collection of government documents, excellent searching tools, and we'll show you in just a moment, and a very easy interface. We have all of our resources are integrated. You can search in one spot, and you'll see in just a moment. We have a collection of primary sources, international documents, and of course, state and federal case law. And if you're interested in taking a look at HeinOnline, if your institution does not currently subscribe to HeinOnline, please feel free to reach out to us. We can get you set up with an absolutely free, no risk, no obligation trial of HeinOnline for 90 days. Your whole institution can use it, see how people like it, see how it may fit into your resource list in your library. So with that all being said, let's dive into the database and show you what HeinOnline looks like. Just one moment. Okay, so you should all be seeing my screen at this point. And what we're looking at here is what we call our HeinOnline welcome screen. If you have used HeinOnline in the past, you're probably familiar with this. But I'm logged into what we call our HeinOnline Academic Global Package. And this is available for schools all around the country, all around the world. It's got our comprehensive journals database, a whole host of government documents, and as well as many other databases. But the two that we're going to talk about in particular today is our history of international law and our military and government database. So first, let's dive into our history of international law database. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, This database is made up of several what we call sub-collections. So within it, you can see these tabs that cover War and Peace, Law of the Sea, Hague Convention, conferences and conventions, international arbitration, and then many other works, including serials, journals, and so on, other related works, the bibliography of other works, and important scholarly articles related to international law. So if we take a look here, for example, our War and Peace, this covers both the philosophical and the practical questions of War and Peace. You can analyze, you can find analysis of war going back to the 1700s. In the Law of the Sea, you're going to find hundreds of titles relating to international customs, agreements, treaties involving the evolution of the law of the sea. And we all know that's a little bit different than what our typical international or national laws are. The international arbitration extends back to the 1800s. It has numerous titles dedicated to the discussion of international dispute resolution. And then, of course, the Hague conferences and conventions. Ever since the first peace conference, the Hague has become the location for several other conferences and conventions, and they are all uh, documented here. So if we wanted to do some searching, HeinOnline is kind of all about searching. So we can perform some searching within this history of international law database. So for example, we can do international arbitration. I'm going to put that in quotes because I want to search for the phrase international arbitration and mediation. Now, since this popped up, if you're not familiar with the way HeinOnline works, I just want to explain this real quick. When I just put this in and if I click just search for, that's going to search just within the full text of HeinOnline. And that's one of the beautiful things about HeinOnline is everything within this database is completely full text searchable. You can search everything that's on a page within HeinOnline. The other options here are if we wanted to search for a particular author's name, we can easily do that. If we want to search for a title, so maybe an article title or a different section, a note, a comment, a review maybe. Citations would be for a specific book citation or a citation to a specific code section. That would allow us to search that. And then catalog searches for publication titles. So for example, if we see below here, Abolition of Privateering and the Declaration of Paris. If I wanted to search for that specific publication, I could do that by searching using the catalog option here. But here we're going to search just within the text of this section. So I clicked just search for, and we're looking for international arbitration and mediation. And you can see here we've received over 1,000 results. Now our first and most relevant result is from 1895. Now, if we want to see, maybe we're looking for something more current than that. So we can change the way that that's sorted, and we can see maybe the newest first. And we'll give that a moment to load. Okay, so now we've gone from 1895 to now we're looking at works from 2021, so fairly new, confronting space debris through the regime evolution approach. So you can see we can talk about international arbitration on the global front, and now we're even talking about how it applies to growing into outer space or inner space. If you see here, we're looking at the different what we have, what we're looking at on the search page. We can see here's the article title. It's found in the International Law Studies series from the U.S. Naval War College. This is our author, the citation, and then this is the text on which the terms I searched for are found. So it's just showing us a small snippet just so we can make sure that the context of what we searched for is appropriate for what we want. If I want to see where else those terms are found within this particular article, I just clicked all matching text pages, and you can see that opens up a bit, and I can see the other pages within this article on which the terms I searched for are found. Over here, you can see just quickly, we can download a PDF of this section. Let's say I want to see what this looks like. I'm going to download that PDF. I'll save it. I'm going to open that up. Here we have a cover page of the PDF just so we can see, make sure we know we can get back to it if we need to. We have a QR code that we can always scan even if we print this to paper. We have a link that takes us directly back to that particular article. All the different ways that that article is cited, different styles of citation. And then as we scroll down, you can see here is the scanned image of that particular article. It's completely full text searchable both in HeinOnline on the database as well as in the PDF itself. So if I do a find within this PDF and I want to look for, there's outer space. Here you can see I just did a search and find for the term outer space right within that particular PDF. I can save that PDF. I can share that PDF. Very easy to do. And that works. That's the same way that all of HeinOnline works. And we're approaching nearly 200 million pages of content in the database overall. Excuse me. So that is a small snippet of what history of international law has. We have the full set of the Nuremberg trials within this database. Like I said, a ton of material regarding international law of the sea. It's a very rich database involving how different countries interact with one another and have historically done over time. Now, we also have the military and government database. It's set up in a similar fashion as what we just looked at with history of international law. It's just covering different topics. So you can see some of the material we have here, all the titles, the books that are covering this material, some works from the United States Code of Federal Regulations, and then serials and periodicals, legislative histories, hearings, and so on. We can do a search within military government just like we did in history of international law. So let's say, for example, we wanted to look for conscription and legislation. Again, we're just going to search within the text. Now, conscription, that's basically the government forcing citizens to serve in the government's military, right? So here we have, where I'm effectively searching for acts of legislation that involve conscription. So what we're looking at here is legislative and statutory development of the federal concept of conscription for military service. So that's the most relevant result that we received. If we want to see what the newest result is, and I haven't done this yet, so let's see what we have. So we have some works from 2021, authorizing U.S. military force against Daesh, a legislative history, and here they speak about conscription. If we wanted to refine this search a little bit, we could always do that. We have our different date ranges running down the left-hand side of the screen. Of course, we could select 2016 to date, but maybe we're interested in more of the historical aspect of conscription. And you can see here we go back all the way back into 1800s, and we can see how conscription was discussed and legislated back then. Of course, we have different document types and section types, organizations that are discussed, people, and different subjects. Now, as if you are familiar with HeinOnline, you know that while we have these subject-specific databases, the database overall, our research packages overall cover a tremendous amount of material. So even outside of history of international law database and the military and government database, there's a tremendous amount of material that can be researched. So I'm gonna go back into our database list, and I'm gonna jump into our law journal library. And what I'm gonna search for here is, let's see, let that load up. I'm going to search for Geneva Convention. And World War. Now I'm not going to look for World War I, World War II. I'm just going to look for that just so I can kind of broaden the scope of what it is that I'm the results that I receive. Now in this particular result, we've received 12,531 results, so quite a bit of material. See here, people are waiting. And what we can do now is just like we looked at previously, of course, our first and most um, relevant result is from 1991 regarding denying POWs compensation. But we can also, of course, limit that back to maybe the early 1900s, discussing the world wars, World War I and World War II. Or we can look at different Pathfinder subjects, and we'll explain what Pathfinder subjects in just a moment. You can see we have a whole different range of subjects regarding international law, terrorism, legal practice, procedure, refugees. So let's say we wanted to know how the Geneva Convention and world wars relate to the refugee issue. So we'll click on refugees and let that load up. And what we're doing now is we're limiting the results that we received to those articles and sections that have a specific subject associated with them, including refugees. So here we've gone from 12,500 results to just 502 results. But these results are now the concept of the political refugee in international law, the Treaty of Versailles to Rwanda, how the international community deals with war crimes, the expulsion of civilians from areas which came under Israeli control in 1967, some legal issues, and so on. So we can do our very broad search and then narrow it down to a much smaller area of research by using those Pathfinder subjects. And we can do that kind of at the start as well. So for example, let's say we're interested, we'll go into our advanced search. And there's before I dive into the searching by Pathfinder, I do want to show you our Venn diagram search just so we don't run out of time. Our Venn diagram search allows you to do, it's a visual search uh, tool. And what that means is you can see how the different search results for terms, how much those results will relate to one another. So let me run this search. I'm going to run soft power and diplomacy and space race. We'll run that search. Okay. So you can see we've received just 13 results. Now that's because this is a very specific search, right? There's not a lot of content that's regarding the space race and diplomacy and soft power, but it's a great way to really see how we are able to narrow down our search. 40 million pages of content. So what we see on the right-hand side of the screen here is those 13 results that we would normally get with any other search. One moment. And you can see here that we have what we call our the Venn diagram of these results. And you can see here's the representation of all the terms that come back with the term, all the results that come back for the term diplomacy. So if I click on diplomacy, you can see we've gone from 13 results up to 73,000 results. So that's quite a bit different, right? Space race, we have 1,100 results, a little over 1,100 results. Soft power, about 4,300 results. And then we can see how those relate to one another. So space race and diplomacy, we have 178 results. Soft power and diplomacy, 2,100 results. And then we can see where maybe space race and soft power overlap, just 25 results. And then, of course, the search we did initially, the soft power, diplomacy, and space race. So what this allows you to do is see how much those terms we searched for really relate to one another. Is there a lot of overlap? Are they discussed a lot in relation to one another? Or in this case, is diplomacy rarely talked about in the terms of space race and or soft power? So just kind of a neat tool that you can always give a test to. So we'll jump back to the advanced search. So, I discussed being able to search by Pathfinder subjects. So we can say here, like, let's search for, I'm going to search for the term, we'll go Geneva Convention. And I'm going to search for just that. And you can see we've received 27th, almost 28,000 results. Now I'm going to go back. Now let's say, just like that previous search I did, maybe I want to limit it to just the Geneva Convention and how it relates to refugees. So I'm going to put in this case, we're going to limit that to refugees. And I'm not going to touch that initial text search that I performed. Run that search. In this case, we've gone from almost 28,000 results down to just 1,200 results. And again, we can look here, the Geneva Convention and refugee status, the Geneva Convention of 1949 application in the Vietnamese conflict. So you can see what we're now able to do, and you can see by the matching text pages, the text page results, we've really been able to narrow that subject down very specifically. And again, if we're looking to research a specific time period, we can do that even easier by saying, maybe I don't want to know the full range of these results. Maybe I'm just interested in works that were related to the 1990s. And now we're able to limit that result to just 274 results, and these were all works that were published in the 10-year span of the 1990s. Now, one other really effective tool that we have is if you are performing research within HeinOnline and you come upon this particular article, the relevance of the 1951 Geneva Convention relating to the status of refugees, maybe that article is very important to you and you want to find more articles that are like this article. Well, HeinOnline has a tool for that, and we call that More Like This. And that's where if I click on More Like This, the system in real time is now going to go through and analyze that article, that particular Geneva Convention article. It's going to pull out of it what we call interesting words. And it's pulled out of that article these terms: convention, refugee, refugees, UNHCR, and international. And it's assigned different weights to those terms. So you can see that this is a sliding scale. And it's effectively saying, hey, if you like that first article, then these articles should be very, very relevant and very interesting to you as well. So you can see unfolding Africa's impact on the development of international refugee law, Southeast Asia and the 1951 Convention, which is one we just looked at, no country for asylum, legitimizing Lebanon's rejection of the 1951 Refugee Convention. Is there a need for better supervision of the Refugee Convention? So again, not exactly related to world wars and conflict, but obviously refugees are often a result of world conflicts, unfortunately. Now, these terms that it's come up with, maybe they're not perfect for what it is you're looking for, so we can always adjust those. Like we said, we can turn those weights down, we can increase, we can remove a term, or we can always add a new term. And then the last searching feature that can always be implemented and used to help you find this material in HeinOnline is what we call our keyword search tool. Now, this is very similar to what we just used in terms of the More Like This search, but the keyword search builder allows you to just kind of put your own terms in yourself. So here, instead of the system saying, hey, these terms are important, you can put in your own words. You can set your own weights for each word, how much a word is important to the research you're wanting to perform. You could do that. You can even select specific titles if you wanted. You could say, tax times or military law review, military law and the law of the world review. You can say that, run a search using your own terms, the own keywords that you've come up with, or maybe your students have come up with. And then you get maybe a result that's relevant to what it is you're attempting to perform. Hit the More Like This button, let the system take over, and it will find a whole host of results that should be very relevant to what it is that you're attempting to perform research on. So those are the different search features that we have in HeinOnline. as well as the different material that we have that covers a whole host, while whether we're talking world wars, current conflicts, even historical conflicts from hundreds of years ago. You can find all of that material across both these i- databases in particular, as well as all of the material that is available in the HeinOnline Academic Global Package. Now, if you are interested in taking a look at it for yourself, by all means, please let us know. We can set you up with a trial. If you're currently using HeinOnline, let us know how you're enjoying it. I do want to show a couple features before I let you go. We have right here a live chat feature available to us. It's only available for some specific time periods, but you can always email us through this link right here. If it is a live chat, when it turns on, feel free to reach out and we can always chat with you immediately. And then, of course, we have a few different features. We have LibGuides, a knowledge base, and a blog. These LibGuides are here for you. They're here for you to use information, take it, put it on your library's website. We welcome you to come in here and use this material at your disposal. Since we talked about history of uh, military and government, here we have military and government right here. I'll click on it. I'll show you what it looks like, what our LibGuide is. Here's a short video about the database that we just covered, some information, as well as different sections covering the documents, Pentagon papers, tips on searching, all the additional resources. So this is here for you to use. Again, I know I keep beating that drum, but I encourage you to go in and take a look at our LibGuides. We have our knowledge base that if you need help setting up access to HeinOnline, want to know how searching works, and maybe you don't want to send an email, all of that, those training guides and videos are available here for you to use. And then it looks like we might have a problem with our blog right now, unfortunately. So I think it's updating right now. But our blog is available. We're always working on our blog. So please, when it's up and functioning, I encourage you to take a look at that as well. So with that all being said, it looks like we're just about at 30 minutes. Does anyone have any questions at this point before I let you go? Well, again, I just wanted to remind you that this is being recorded, so we will reach out to you in just a few days. We're going to send a recording link for you so you can review this if you'd like. Um, Last pitch, if you want to take a trial, please let us know. We can set you up with the 90-day or 3-month trial. And other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day. And it's been an excellent time with you. And I hope to see you again next month when we do this again. Have a great day.